guys. And I'm live again. Trying to make things stay in place. So, as I did last time, guys, welcome back to another live with me on YouTube. As I did last time, I'm going on both platform, YouTube and Instagram. So, yes, you're first. I'm going to connect here and I'm going to try to look at both screens. It's going to be a little difficult, but let's do this. Let me just move you a little bit more here. Woo! Okay, let's start. Today's topic, by the way, is going to be the highs and lows of training. We're going to talk about a lot of mindset. So let's do this. I have my notes, I have a microphone. Let's go on Instagram too. So, and we're live. Sorry, guys, I am late because I don't know. It's Saturday nights. Doesn't work for me. I gotta stop going out on Saturday nights because it's happened. I'm all over the places. So, but I am back, guys. Welcome back to another Bendy Live. Happy to see you here. We're going to talk another cool, interesting, important topic today, which is the highs and lows of training. So, welcome back. Sit down, relax, enjoy, take your notes, take your coffee. I didn't even have my coffees because I'm telling you, I had a rough start. So let's just do this, okay? So first of all, thank you for coming back. If you're coming back, if you're new, welcome. This is my little moment where I share my experience, the things I learned throughout my years with training. Again, if you're new to here, you know me, maybe you just don't know what the hell I'm doing here. I've been training for now more than 20 years. I've been in the fitness industry, and the past 12 years, I really dived deep into contortion and flexibility training as an adult. So all I'm sharing is really like things that I learned on my experience of my student. And so I'm so excited to share with you all I learned and hopefully to help you and inspire you. So today we're talking about the highs and lows in training. So why it's important to talk about this is because mindset is extremely important when it comes to success in your practice, in your training, and also in life. I think at the end of the day, the more I grow in my field, the more I grow in as a human, right? The more I expand and learn, the more I realize that it's all about mindset. So this is what also I love to talk about. It's really how to help people tap into, that part of themselves that is so much powerful and so underestimated, which is the mind. So the important thing about also understanding how to deal with your moments of the down moments of training is because the more you know, the more you're better equipped to overcome those difficult moments. So that's why sometimes, I want to talk about the hardship that I encountered during training because it really helped me to learn to how to overcome the difficult times. So this is what I'm going to share today. So it's going to be mostly a mindset talk, right? So as you know, there are the highs of training. We're not going to talk about the highs of training. You're pretty much aware of what that entails. So you having a good session, strong session, flexible session, a good streak of improvement, a good month, a good focus time in your life, like a good balance with everything. Like we always aim to those moments, right? We always aim to achieve that balance with work, with health, with training, with love, with all those things. We wanted to keep it in balance because that's how we thrive as humans. But many times in life, we're going to have our lows, and there's nothing to fight about it. It's just learning how to deal and manage with them better and better so you don't stay down too long. I think what I learned over time is it's not about the going down, it's how long are you going to stay down, like how much can you prevent a low moment and how much less can you stay there. You know what I mean? It's like it's inevitable that you're going to have moment of like fear, depression, worries. We're going to talk about the causes, the major causes that this is happening in training. But the question is, how long are you going to stay down there? How long are you going to allow yourself to stay in a down place? And can you prevent to go really low? When you see yourself like, okay, I'm thinking I'm going in a bad place in my mind, like I'm struggling. So we're going to talk about how to prevent yourself to really dive down and go all the way to the floor, to the bottom of the barrel, and how to also stay less down there. That's, I think, the biggest lesson that I had is this. You can avoid the lows, but you can prevent to go too low, and also you can stay less in it. So I think the main causes, I want to talk about the main causes that creates a low time, like a in your training. When I say lows, it can mean a lot of things. To me, one of the major thing is disruption of focus. So in the society we live in, I know how hard it is to focus and stay on track. Like it takes so much for us to really like don't get distracted and stay on track with our goals. And I'm going to talk about, the first thing I want to talk about is the disruption of a time of balance. So you're going to have those moments where your flow is going, everything is good, and then there's this disruption. And I'm going to talk about primarily on the emotional stress that a lot of us encounter throughout in life, and this is going to be again inevitable. But one thing that I noticed a lot, I mean, definitely in myself too, but a lot in my student, is that this is gonna be a talk that is gonna dive into a little bit into relationship, especially in romantic relationship. But I noticed that the number one factor that really affected my clients, myself, was really the emotional stress caused by relationships. So in that case, I noticed that a lot of people still, they fall into this. I mean, we're not going to talk about toxic relationships, but this is where I'm kind of going with it. Like, it's a lot of times people, they engage into, they get, in relationship with the wrong people. And that's the number one reason I've seen it with my student, that you have to really be careful with, with that part of your life, because, we all looking for love. We all want to be loved, and all we want like relationship. But like the number one thing that I notice in people losing themselves, losing track of their progress, of their routine, that really abandoning themselves, is definitely what happened when they're not into a relationship that is uplifting. So I would say definitely be careful if that's happened to you in the past, or it's something that it can happen again if you're, you're dealing with someone that it's not good for you. The emotional stress has been the number one cause of disruption into focus for people. Or training. The training will just go down the drain because what? Because you will be worrying, because you will not be sleeping, you're gonna be overthinking, you're not gonna be able to focus. And again, I've seen it on myself, I've seen it with other people. When you're dealing with someone, you're in a relationship with someone that is going to do that to you and to your routine, you really have to, I'm not gonna give you dating advice, right? But you have to really ask yourself, is that adding to my life, or is taking from my life? So many times I see this happening a lot with my student, myself. People lose themselves into this type of relationship, and then all the things that are important for them, they get abandoned, right? Like the focus is lost. They just start like daydreaming. They just don't train because they're waiting for that text. And just like at the end of the day, again, I'm not gonna make this a lot about relationship, but it's, you just have to choose yourself, because if you are always in this state of disrupting of your routine, and this person, is not supporting you, or you're just like stressed and you all the time and you just can't function because this is how you're experiencing your relationship, you have to really check with that, because again, emotional stress is the number one strongest factor in disrupting your focus. I would say that, and it could be financial stress, it can be health issue, we're going to talk about that. But like emotional stress is the number one disruption of focus, I notice in again in a lot of people. So you have to really be, on top of it with that in your life. You have, and what I mean, like, oh, on top of it, like, what do you mean? You have to address what are your patterns, why do you go back to certain people, why do you look for that type of relationship, what is that really the cause of that choices that is just literally self-sabotaging all your hard work. So again, I don't want to go too deep into the relationship things, but your peace is number one, and nothing is worth compromising that. And it happened to me like recently, like I was like doing so well, and then I just started. I mean, I just talked to someone that I didn't want to talk to. I want to talk to, but I just immediately I was like, I'm not going there. Like I already been there. Like I know how disruptive and toxic and not good for me it is. So you see, you just know better. So I didn't allow myself to go down the spiral, right? Like, oh, let's just see what's on the bottom of this. I mean, you already know what it is. So I didn't allow myself to go all the way there. So that's what I said. You learn from your mistake. You learn from learning what's good and not good for you. You're gonna do better choices. So that's the main disruption of focus that I want to talk about. It was emotional stress in terms of romantic relationships. So girls, guys out there, be careful, observe, don't throw yourself into something that is not good for you. You're gonna lose yourself, and it's gonna take so long to regain your power, you gain your sanity, you gain your center. So really think twice, because your peace is number one. Peace of mind, protecting your routine, protecting your energy is extremely important. Okay. So the other cause of lows, call it lows, is not having structure. So I think sometimes we experience even more down times. Like, I mean, I just go like, if I don't have a structure in my training, and I know it's just a lot of people, like they don't have a structure, like they don't know, they don't plan their training, they're just kind of going with how they're feeling. And this is like something extremely, uh, I would say, it's a place you don't want to be, because when you don't have structure in your training, you can be affected by these down moments a lot heavier. And what I mean is that if you have a schedule and you are prepared when you have like a down moment where you're like, I'm not motivated, I don't fucking want to do this, I'm not liking how I'm feeling, like I have my head is something about work. Like when you have a schedule and you have like a structure in your training, you're better equipped to manage those moments. You're like, okay, so if I don't train this day, like I said on Tuesday, I want to do this, I'm gonna switch it to another day, but I'm gonna allow myself today to rest. You wanna have a schedule, you wanna have a routine, and you wanna have a structure, because if you're only training by how you're feeling, and this is like something that I cannot understand how people do, they're like, I feel good today, I'm gonna train today. I don't feel good, I'm gonna train another day. No, like you have to create the habit, you have to create a structure. You really need to, your training is non-negotiable. It's not depending on your freaking moods. Okay, so there's no mood dependence on training. It's just good mood, bad mood, I don't feel, I feel, you do it. It's more action oriented, it's not feeling oriented. And then there's some, like, sometimes it will be different, but like most of the time it's like that. So another thing, so the non-structure also will get you easily distracted, right? When you don't have a structure, you're just looking around like, what's the next distraction I can get my mind off, like with. So I would say having structure also protect you from distraction. It just gives you that strong foundation, that strong routine that you need to stay on track. And also when you're gonna have a moment of like, oh, I don't feel motivated, I don't want to do this, you're still gonna be backed up by your habits. Like you have good habits, so you're just gonna do it. The other thing, the flip side of having no structure is having too much structure. And what that means is you're rigid. So um, I always say that you need to have a lot of consistency and discipline, right? So, but the flip side of consistency and discipline is being too rigid. And then you lose sight of the long-term goal. That means is if you're too rigid and you don't allow any space for anything else, like you don't allow space for your friends, for your time off, for your rest, and you're on constant obsessive behavior. And this happened a lot in the beginning when you're really getting into something, or sometimes it comes in sometimes it comes out of nowhere. You're just like, I want to do, like people do that all the time with diets, or like with super black and white behaviors. Like I'm gonna do a month of just eating, I don't know, meat or vegetable, or I'm gonna just never go out. I'm not gonna drink. Like people want, they think it's easier. They think that's easier because it is on a mental level, black or white, just two choices. I do it or I don't. It's easier mentally, but like in the long run, it creates a restraint, and rigid is the opposite of flexibility, right? So you can really, you're gonna have those moments of you're gonna burn out, you're gonna lose yourself into like overtraining. And so there's a big difference between consistency and overdoing it. Consistency is showing up at like a certain rhythm that you decided for yourself. Like for example, me, I'm like, I decided I train 4 or 5 times a week. It's my rhythm. I show up to it. It's good. I can maintain it. I don't feel like obsessed over it. I have space for other things. So you maintain a consistent, healthy rhythm. When it's not consistent and it's too rigid, it's like if I don't train the fifth day, or if I'm gonna like freak, I want to train more, or like if I get that obsessiveness going, it really creates down moments, because then you're gonna, one day you cannot train, you're like losing your mind, or like something gets in the way and you don't have the mental flexibility to deal with it. You're gonna freak out, like you're gonna have an injury. Like you have to remember that there is this flow in life, and the same thing is with your training. If we're talking about long-term training, again, I'm not talking about I want to train just this year to go into the Olympics. That's different. But if you're talking about long-term goals, too much rigidity is not good. You're gonna hit really hard those lows when they comes around, because when you cannot train, you freak out because you have nothing else in your life. And also, no scheduling, no structure is not good, because then you're easily distracted. You just have all these loose ends. I'm like, I don't know, I don't know what to do tomorrow. I'll just train when I feel good. No. So it's either you don't want to. I think we gotta find the balance. Eventually, I hated balance for so long. Like I just didn't like the concept. I was like, can I just pick one? I want extremes. I like extremes. I want this or this. I also was a black and white person, and then I realized it's like, this is just gonna, it's not gonna work. Like I just really tried to just be black and white, but you gotta be in the middle. So now we have another point. So these are all the causes. What causes you to go down with your mood? What causes? I'm talking about the lows, right? Like what causes for you to lose motivation, like to lose yourself and your motivation. So the other thing that is really affecting the down moments is if your goals revolve around an outside source. So if your motivation is extrinsic, what does that mean? Is motivation coming from the outside, it's not intrinsic. So extrinsic motivation is if you're a fitness competitor and you're training for competition. That's your goal. When you don't have a competition, you're like, well, why am I training, right? So that causes extreme lows. When you don't have that motivation, the outside like motivation is like, I'm gonna compete, I'm gonna win the prize. When you don't have that, you hit really down moments. So that's also like something to think. Like, yes, I can do the competition, but I also want to do this for me, for improving myself, to feel better, right? That could also be with contortion. It could be performing. People that are just performance oriented. If you feel like at some point, a lot of people stop training when they stop performing. The contortionists, they're like, well, what am I gonna do all this work for? I'm not working with it. I'm not. Even if they coach, they're like, I don't need to train all this much. And I'm like, it's gonna affect your mind, like not training anymore, and just it's gonna go when you don't have that, the show, the performance, that's your motivation, and you don't have anything else. When you take that away, it's gonna affect your mood. You're gonna hit a little bit of a depression, I would say. Like depression, it's very much affected by you putting all your focus on something outside of you. It's crazy because at the end of the day, I feel like everything you always revolve around you and you work inside of you. It's always like inner work. But I mean, it kind of like always is. Like it ends up always being around. You gotta work on the inner work. Everything gonna comes within you, and then it comes from you inside, go outside. If you take something to motivate you outside of there, when you take that thing out, you're left with nothing, right? So it's really all. I mean, sometimes I'm like, damn, it's all about the inside work. But it is. So the other thing that happens a lot is people get stuck with just repeating. Thinking because people think like, okay, I just have to repeat forever and I'm gonna be better. You can also hit some really stagnant moments when you're just repeating without checking in with yourself, without allowing yourself also to go through cycles. And what I mean is, if you're training years and years, your body's gonna go through cycles of more strength, less flexibility, more flexibility, less strength. The both of them are going to be a little equal, then they're both down. Then you have to allow the fluctuation. So you can't just train and expect like just things always to stay the same. Sometimes I don't remember who said that, like for things to be the same, um you have to change for things to stay the same. It's weird, but it's true. Like if I want to continue to be strong and flexible throughout the year, some things are going to change for me to stay strong and flexible, which is the same. Some things throughout the years are going to change. I'm going to have to allow my body to go through some changes because we're all evolving. We're all like growing. I don't want to say aging, but like we're growing. We're always changing to a certain degree. So if you're going to hit a real low if you just repeat endlessly your training without checking in with yourself, seeing how you're doing, how how's your body doing, how's your mind doing, are you what are you working on, should you like add more of this, should you add more of that. So you have to have every 3 6 months check in with yourself and say, how is my training doing, how am I doing, do I feel strong, do I feel weak, do I have some injuries, what is my body needing the most, what is my mind needing the most. So the checking in with yourself is important because if you want things to stay the same, you gotta keep changing something a little bit. I don't believe that you just repeat. Oh, it's just about repetition, right? You gotta do the same exercise forever. Yes, but it changes within it. Like I start noticing different thing, and then I take mental notes, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do that differently. I'm gonna warm up this way, and you always slightly doing mini changes. Like I don't think it's all about repeating a lot. That's it. Just repeat. Yeah, I mean, you are always checking with yourself so you can avoid those stagnant moments, those low moments where you're not it, you just don't see progress and you're just like, what the fuck is happening, right? You just have to allow yourself to fluctuate, to have moments of more strength, less flexibility. Some days you're gonna feel stronger, some days you're gonna be less flexible. It's gonna be like that. So you have to allow the cycling of strength, flexibility, and checking with yourself, right? So it's not just repetition forever. So I think this point also says that there's a difference between being strategic about your training and just pushing. You're not always pushing to be better. You are strategic. You're checking with yourself and saying, what do I need today? What do I need right now? What is my body like asking me? So I'm being strategic. I'm gonna add a little more intensity this week. I'm gonna lower some intensity because I know I'm, you know, I have my cycle. Or I don't know, like be strategic. It's not about pushing, and that is gonna allow you to flow with your progress, with your training, rather than go against it. Nothing really good comes from forcing, from fighting, especially your body. And that's when you're gonna hit those moments of low, like you're like, why is my body not improving? Why am I strong like I was last year? Why am I not flat? You have to go with the flows of the ebbs and flows. What is that? Ebb and lows? I don't know. That's but anyway, that thing. You have to allow this type of like flow to go. You have to go with the flow you're trained to. Now we have a few more points. Um, Oh yeah, another thing that I think is very important. Sometimes you're gonna hit a moment where you're like, again, no motivation. I'm feeling low. I don't like this. Why is it not? I don't feeling I'm improving. What do I do? I think sometimes it doesn't help to stay always in the same environment forever. So always training at home, always training in the same little corner of the gym. Like always be surrounded by the same people. Always gotta check your people too. So not only your environment will be a big influence, like sometimes it's good to train around people. Like if you can train, I know some people like train at home, which I mean, I enjoy training at home contortion sometimes. But like, for example, one thing I like about going to the gym is I like to train around people that are training. Like, I don't want to talk to you. Don't talk to me, huh? But we can train at the same time. Like, let's motivate each other, but let's just not talk because I don't want to talk to anybody. But I like to be around people that are doing the same thing. They're working on themselves. I mean, some people don't know what they're doing at the gym, but I'm not going to go there. But most of the people we have all the common goal of let's improve ourselves, let's show up and just do it. So the gym, some environment where you're surrounded by people, that will also kick you out of that stagnant, like low, depressive state that you can encounter here and there. So I would say change your environment or change the people you train around. I also say though, you want to check also the people you follow online because again, there's a lot of subconscious exposing. Our mind is always scrolling. I mean, it's on these platforms, right? Like you always are looking at things and on a subconscious level you're absorbing information and either being it positive or negative, your mind is just absorbing it. So I will suggest you to check in with the people you follow. Like, don't follow people that don't motivate you or like you just feel like you're just either competing with, or I mean, sometimes people want to check out what other people are doing just to stay on, I don't know, on the latest trend. Like, I like to follow people that are like in my field, but I can feel motivated and I can learn something from them, right? I'm not gonna follow the 12-year-old just doing one handstand on the top of a hill. To me, it's not, I don't learn nothing from it. And I just feel like, oh, I wish I can do it, but I cannot do it because I'm older. Or like, I just start thinking like this and it doesn't really motivates me, or it just makes me feel some way that I don't want to feel. So I rather like follow accounts that this is helpful, this is cool, I like what she's doing. Yes, like this is something I can interpret in my own way, in my own training. Like the place you train, the environment you train, the people you surround yourself in person and online. So you have to also check like what you're exposing yourself. Sometimes it's good to not be exposed to nothing, right? Like just take off the cameras, take off the internet, just fucking be offline and be with yourself because this is affect your load. Sometimes people they're having a good day, then they see something online and fuck this shit. Like, I'm like, I'm not happy because I saw that. Or protect yourself. Like that also is a source of a cause of making you feel in those low moments, right? So um yes, another thing, this is huge, is people like you're gonna experience very much and often low times, as in again depression or non-motivation, frustration, stagnant times, when you think that progress means just good days. Oh, progress means I'm just having good days all the time with training, right? Yay. So when I have a bad day, I'm just gonna be miserable. So this is not true. Actually, you learn more from how you deal with a bad day. What does that mean is I learn a lot more about myself and how I dealt with like a difficult time. I don't know, like COVID. When I was in COVID, I was like, wow, I trained like a motherfucker. I was so I saw something in me that I was like, damn, like I'm pretty badass. Like I'm training no matter what. Like I didn't have anything stopping me. Like I train at home. I was training in parking lots. I was bringing my kettlebells. I was training in my car. I mean, with my car, I was using the, the truck. Like what's it called? The things that you open in the back. I don't know what's it called. Like the cofano. In Italian, it's cofano. I would open the cofano. And I would use that part of the car as my bench, and I would use like the freaking kettlebell. And I really learned that from hard times like COVID, my drive and my discipline and my desire to keep training just show up. And I was like, this is learning me that I can do this no matter what. Same thing as when you have a bad day, you're just like, I feel like shit. I am so drained from that interaction with that guy or this person, or at work something happened and you still show up. That tells a lot about you. It strengthens your soul. It strengthens your personality, your character. And so I learned more about myself from the hardship. It's easy to show up when it feels good. Everything feels good. You're having a good day. That's the easy part. I mean, that's the fun part. But I think sometimes the way you deal with a down moment is gonna show up a lot. It's gonna teach you a lot from your character, and also it's gonna teach you a lesson. It's like, what am I gonna do with this bad mood? What am I gonna do with this bad situation? So you do the best you can, and you learn to not trust that the bad day is gonna stay. It never stays, guys. It's like the weather. I always say that. If the sun is always there, even if the clouds are in front of it, the good days always come back. You're always gonna get back to the highs. You just have to endure and learn all you can from the bad day, which sometimes you learn, damn, I'm actually more powerful than I thought. I can do this even in a bad mood or bad day. I'm tired, I'm weak, I haven't eaten, I'm slept, I'm stressed. And you just do it, and you learn that, damn, I'm stronger than I thought. Okay. Now we have 2 more points. Yes. What is this balloon thing? Every time I do this, is this balloons? Balloons? Not happening. Anyway, we have 4 more points. No, 3 more points. No, 2 more points. What am I talking about? Okay. Okay, this one's huge. So one of the biggest, and this one I experienced myself, like big time. You're gonna have those low moments when you get injured. I'm sorry, there's nothing more frustrating than loving movement and then you cannot move as you were doing before because you got injured. So injuries, unfortunately, you can be the most careful in the world and you can get hurt. It can happen in so many, like, dude, it can happen like with things you're like, I didn't do nothing and I got hurt. But sometimes injury, they're like building up. Like you just don't do a certain movement for a long time or you're overworking something and then the build up of the injury comes until like something happened, right? So that is basically, I think, with the emotional stress from relationship and the injury, those are the biggest 2 lows that one can experience. Fucking balloons. Those are the 2 lows. I think this the emotional stress that can come from relationship, which can come from health issues, from family members sick, from financial distress, from it could be a lot of problem, right? Like it doesn't have to be just relationship, but I think relationship is a big heavy topic that I address it some often time with my student. So that and injury. And how do you deal with that? I mean, injuries, it's a big topic on its own, so I'm not gonna really go deep into it, but you learn a lot on your how you're gonna deal with it is you're gonna do everything else that you can do without that body part. That's always what I say. It's like after the time that you need to rest, and there's gonna be time that you need to rest, then you're gonna do everything you can with that without that body part. Like just cannot move your shoulder because you injure it. You're gonna focus on everything else. You have to focus on what works. That's the main thing. Stop obsessing. This is in life too, by the way. Like you cannot focus on that one thing. You're like, I really cannot stand that one thing that's not working when you have everything else that works. So you have to really do that mental shift. And I'm like, okay, I want to focus about everything else that works. And I want to help this body part to rest and recover. And whenever it's the right time, I'm going to heal it and really trusting in the process of healing the body. Like I am a firm believer, and I swear to God, I am so sure of this. I know the body can heal. I know. I just know the body has this ability to do so many things out of our control that it can heal. It's like if the body made the body can heal the body. Like I'm 100% sure of this, and you can help the body heal. You don't want to put yourself in the way. Like you don't want to like keep straining a shoulder if you have like a injury, right? You don't want to like keep stressing a body part if it needs attention, if it needs rehab, if it needs some sort of like intervention. But I really believe that the body can heal. Like it's just the body made the body, the source, whatever energy you believe in. Like if the body made itself into this form, if you had the power to create all these structures, it can heal it too. I mean, I think it's the same power, right? So I just believe that and I go for it. And that's why every time I have something, I just heal. It's what you believe, it comes true. So I believe it. Now we have one more point, and this is pretty much very summer oriented because this happens a lot in the summer. People go on vacation, and I always get these questions about, well, how how am I gonna deal with the break of the summer when I'm traveling? I don't know what to do with my training. Am I supposed to take a break? I'm freaking out, and they get really stressed about it. They get down about it if they cannot train, and they're like, getting depressed and sad. And I'm like, I cannot train. What am I gonna do? To me, there's like a few things you can think about it this way. One thing is, it depends how long you're gone, right? So if you're gone for a weekend, maybe 4 or 5 days, a week top, and you just want to enjoy your holiday and you're with your family, with your friends, and you don't want to stress about training, I'm like, just enjoy your holiday. Like when I go away for a weekend, I try to train my things during the week, and I'm like, let's just train really well, and then just take a break for the 3 days of the weekend, right? Let's just like do it. Or if it's like longer, I don't like to take long breaks because I don't believe in breaks. I think life serves you breaks. I said that last week in the other life serve you breaks, as in you're gonna get sick, you're gonna get an injury, some shit's gonna go down, you're gonna have to like help some, I don't know, care for someone, like some shit is gonna happen that you're gonna take breaks. Even when you're like the most consistent person on earth, which is like I'm one of the most, I think I'm so consistent, and I still sometimes like, how is this things getting in the way? Like I made my life around training, and I still sometimes get things in the way, right? So because life will serves you breaks, so don't take breaks for training. When it comes to like a vacation, again, allow yourself to have the vacation. If you can train, if you feel like training, I would say the golden rule is do half of what you usually do on your routine. So for me, my minimum, if I'm going to Italy, I'm going to Italy in September. I'm going to stay away 2 weeks. I usually train 4 or 5 times a week. Me, I gotta train at least 3 days. I mean, come on, find 3 days. Like 3 days. Like I'm saying, if you can do the usual 4 or 5 days, or how many times you train a week, you train 6 days. Do at least 3, 4. Like, don't just throw everything to like, fuck, I'm not gonna train for a month, because honestly, it's such a pain in the ass to come back after the break. Like, I already know when I had a cold like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I took 1 week off, and I felt like my body took like a month off. It's like your body just in 1 second is just like, just sits back and be like, okay, cool, we're not training, so we're gonna just sit here and do nothing, and your body just revert easily, lose strength, lose flexibility. Your body wants to be comfortable, and I'm like, come on, we don't want to be comfortable all the time. Move. So if it's like again a long vacation, you have to train. Like don't just like go. You otherwise what happens is you don't train, you lose your habits, you get depressed, because remember also if you are relying on movement for mental health too, which is a part of your mental health is involved with movement. As if you train like me, you know this very good. You don't want to go to that place where you abandon completely movement because you're on vacation. You don't want to think about it, because then you're gonna start feeling like, why am I feeling so down? Why am I feeling mad? Why am I feeling angry? Because you're not giving your body what it usually gets. Because your body is an addicting machine. Your body just like to get addicted. So give it the right addiction. It's all good, right? Like good food. My body's addicted to good food, like healthy food. Like I don't want to eat things that are not like I don't feel good. Like I'm addicted to movement. There are addiction, but addiction I think is negative when it's interfering with your life, or it's affecting your life negatively. But if an addiction is positive, fuck, this is good. Like it's good to be addicted to training, unless you're crazy and you train 10 hours a day every day, and you don't see nobody, and you live in your home, and you know what I mean. It's like it's the balance again. There's good obsession, addiction. I remember this TV show. It's called the Queen's Gambit. If you've never seen it, I would suggest you to see it, because it shows how she plays chess, and she's this champion playing chess, and that they display very well the fine line between obsession and just passion. That I really love how it's displayed, because I can really relate. So bottom line, just remember, if you're gonna go on vacation, try to train less, but don't completely abandon your training. That's my experience. It's hard to come back to it, and also it will affect your mental health if that's something that you're really heavily relying on. And then again, there will be times where yes, you're gonna have to not train, right? Like if you are in a very high state of stress, like acute stress, something just happened today, and you are completely like in shambles, don't train. Like, okay, so there are moments that like you have to just sit with it and just stay there and not push yourself any further, because you're just, same thing when you're stressed, I mean when you're sick, when you have an acute injury, something just happened, don't go back to train like, oh, nothing happened, I'm just gonna work it through. I'm like, you don't know what it is, give it a few days to assess, go to the physical therapist, just do some assessing, don't just go crazy, just I'm just gonna walk it off. I'm like, I don't know about that, just be careful. So bottom line, what I want to say is there will be times of lows, low energy, low mood, some sort of depression will seep in. There will be times where you're struggling, but again, develop the tools that brings you center, and you can check in with yourself. And when I talk about tools, I talk about everyone has their own, like one is accepting the presence of lows is already a huge tool, and knowing like, okay, I'm having a moment, this happened before, I know it will pass. So that accepting, and I always tell myself, this too shall pass, this too shall pass. I can't repeat in my mind, this too shall pass, because everything passes, the good things, the bad things, the highs, the lows, everything passes. So don't get stuck into thinking that when you're at the low point of your life or low point of the training, or you're just like, just breathe and know that it will pass. Nothing is to be taken so seriously, especially in those moments where we're so like looking into this tunnel of darkness and we just think this is reality and this is always going to be like this. Nothing stays the same. So even this moment, remember accepting the fact that those things will come. The other thing that I said earlier is once you're been there and you got out of it a few times, you start thinking, oh, okay, I see how this happened. Like, I know I can get out of it. So I go there, I have my down moment, but the more you get there, and then you're like, I actually know how to get out. And so you start like staying less in it. And that's why I said the refractory period, you accept it, you're staying less in it because you've been there before. And if you got out of it, and if you're like, well, what if I never get out of it? What if I've been depressed for 7 months? I'm like, okay, then you know there's tools there. There is therapy, there is meditation. And I'm not saying those lightly. Like, I know these things works. Like, I meditate every day. And I was cheating on meditation for many years until I started really like changing my life with it, because I said I was heavily relying on movement for mental health. And there were times I couldn't move, and I would be like, I cannot be with my mind alone, because like if I don't move, like how am I going to help myself? So I started to practice meditation, because that's another form of stillness training. It's like the stillness of meditation. It really train you to not really consider your thoughts as this huge real world, because they're just thoughts. You just can, depending what you're thinking, this is how you're going to perceive your life, right? So you just start training, like you can choose your thoughts, and you can choose to look at a low point of your life, of your training, as an opportunity to learn, or a place to be depressed and in distress, right? You can choose how you see things, and usually I choose to look at things to learn from it. And then when I have that approach, I stay less in the down moment, and then I come out faster. Like I told you, you start like coming out of it faster. And then when you start feeling like, oh, I think I'm gonna go down, like you're like, I'm not really like, and you do something. Like if you're like, I don't want to train, I don't want, okay, so if you don't want to train because you're feeling like you're going down in a spiral, like you're in a bad mood, or like you lighten up, do something lighter, go out. Again, like I said, meditation, reading, spending time outside, spending time offline. Let me tell you, sometimes you gotta turn off the fucking phone. Like as hard as it is, one time I went for a walk, when I was on my phone, first 10 minutes I thought I was losing my mind. I was like, well, this is not right. I was kept like looking around, like, where's my phone? Like, this is not right. I need to. And then I started slowly like relaxing. But I think like we also have those habit of highly stressful habit of being constantly on our phones. So disconnect. We can make a life about tools, the tools for mental health, the tools for mindset. But again, I don't want to go too long because this is going to be a super long live otherwise. But those are the things I wanted to talk about, like the causes. So we talked about the causes of those low points in training, low points in mindset, how to get out of it. I'll give you a little glimpse of that. But again, most of it is knowing is power. Knowledge is power. The more you know, the more you're equipped to be like, okay, I know what this is. It's kind of like when you're sick and you know you got the cold and like, oh fuck, is this a cold? I know how this works. If you get sick and you know what the fuck you have, you're like, oh my god, like what the fuck, am I dying? Like you get that high levels of stress. But I feel like the more you know, the more you've been there and you recovered. That's why I mean the beauty of our experience. Like if there's beauty into life, and honestly, there's sometimes I get frustrated. I'm like, I don't want to get old, but then I love what comes with like being more experienced, because now I've been training so many years and I've lived more than other people. And I talk about I'm 80, but I really feel that it start adding up. Like my mind is in such a better place. My knowledge has been helping me because from the knowledge, the experience came, and the choice of different action. I choose different action. I choose a lot of non-action too. Like I used to always do when I would feel uncomfortable or stressed. I would do a lot. And now I actually started practicing the last 2 years. That's been a mind blowing. Like to me, like I started like actually not doing. When I feel very stressed, I try to do the opposite of what I used to do. Instead of trying to distract myself and grab my phone and then call someone, and I would just sit and just be there and be like, oh, okay, this is like something to be felt. And it was fucking hard. But that's when I look into it, when I accept it, when I know what's in front of me, and it's just a feeling and a thought, and I just have to let it run. It's the sun. I can tell you, the clouds and this are there, and then they go away. It's just a thought. It's just a moment. So don't take your lows too seriously. You have the capacity to get out of any lows, any down situation, being detrimental for your training, for your whatever else in your life can be detrimental for, because it can be detrimental for other things. Don't take it seriously. Just trust that things are always changing. Nothing is final. This is nothing. Nothing is final. Your injury will heal. Your thoughts were gonna rearrange. The toxic relationship, you'll get out of it. When you're ready, you'll get out of it. Like you will learn that eventually it comes down to being more, have more knowledge, have more acceptance, and just you learn how to deal with these moments better. And at the end of the day, you really are more equipped with how to deal with this. Like you protect your peace, you make better choices, you deal with some emotions differently because you've been there before, and you know how this everything always moves, everything always pass, right? So nothing is forever. Okay, guys. That's it for today. Thank you for staying here until now. If you were here, if you haven't seen this live, I'm gonna leave it up as usual, so you can check it out. I know I talk so much. Thank you for listening. We're also on YouTube here. Hi, YouTubers. And next week, I don't know what I'm gonna talk about. So if you have any suggestions, guys, let me know. All right. Have a good rest of your day. If you have any question, of course, let me know in the comments or in my DMs. Would love to hear from you. Bye, guys. Oh, look! Look at the heart. Bye. And bye, guys, still here. Thank you for seeing me. Oh, thank you, Eric, for being here. Let me see what you said. Yes, I would think. Yes, I would think that would really help to go for someone with the same interest or similar interest. It doesn't have to be exactly the same, but it will definitely help to have things in common. Well, thank you so much for the comments and for being here. This channel is been open long time, but I haven't been in forever for 10 years. So I'm trying to come back more often. So I'm appreciating whoever's watching, and I'm gonna leave it up here. So I'll see you next time. Bye.